Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is recording. I am at this moment sitting in a chair. Today is the 27th of April, 2020. The world is in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic. Individuals are being asked to social distance from each other, to, when they're out, to wear masks. It covers their nose and their mouth, because this virus is an airborne virus and it can be caught. The virus can spread through the air, something like 6 feet, I believe, from a person's mouth, so to speak, when they sneeze. It can travel for about 6 feet in the air, and then per it entering an individual, either by virtue of their skin or a breathing process, whatever it may be, then they can catch the virus, and the virus itself can be deadly. And so we're in the midst of that, social distancing, and individuals are asked to stay at home as much as they can. If they are not social workers, or essential workers is more like it. And so these things are absolutely necessary, needful, that individuals do. Absolutely needful. And in the midst of that, I've spent some time, a great deal of time, thinking about programs that I have done previously. Much prayer about this. I've done a number of programs on the person, from the person named Neville Goddard. Some of the programs were entitled "Consciousness is the Only Reality." And basically, the essence of that program is that how a person sees the world in his or her imagination, how a person sees the world from the inside out becomes the world that the person eventually sees from the outside in. Let me say that again. How a person predominantly sees the world from the inside out eventually becomes the world a person sees from the outside in. And basically, what is being said there is that a person, every individual, has the ability to create his or her own world. But that world is first created subjectively by the vision that one holds in one's own mind. There's no length of time that is being talked about as far as how long you must hold the vision in your mind before it is manifested in the life. But it is certain that what you hold in your mind will be manifested in your life. What either lengthens or shortens the length of time is the intensity that you hold that image in your mind. This is related, of course, to this idea of belief. But what we're talking about here is more than just simply belief, because belief can, for some people, can become something very flimsy. Very flimsy. It has no real substance, and it's not what is being talked about really in the biblical statements or in the sacred writings of other individuals or other religious systems either. Belief is more, in this instance that we're talking about, it is conviction. It is persuasion. And even in the biblical context, when it talks about belief, when the text says that Abraham believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness or right doing, the reference is to an experience of Abraham when he was called to sacrifice his son Isaac. And that's a story that as you read it, what becomes clear is that God had given Isaac to Abraham when he was nearly 100 years old. It was a miraculous birth, if you will. And he had given him this child. And then God at a later point asked Abraham to give the child back to him, and the giving back was that he would sacrifice the child. He would kill the child with a knife in his own hands. He would sacrifice the child. He would kill the child. The biblical statement says that Abraham believed God, which meant that he believed that if he did plunge the knife into Isaac's chest, that God would raise him up. And so in his mind, he had already gone through with this act. He'd already gone through because he was convicted that God would raise him up if he did it. So in his mind, he'd already seen this occur. He was convicted. That's why he would go through with it. And so it wasn't something happenstance that he was doing. And he was not someone that, others may have looked at him. I would have looked at him in a particular state and time of my life and thought he had lost his mind. And that's how it is sometimes with individuals who believe that they have a conversation that is going on with God. But Abraham was convicted that he did have a conversation going on with God. And the text says it was counted to him as righteousness. Now, you don't want to say you have a conversation going on with God and you don't have a conversation going on with God. That is crazy. That is insane. You don't want to fool yourself. You don't want to go walking on water and then end up drowning. You don't want to do that. That's not wise. That's not wise. This is not that kind of show and tell type situation that you want to get yourself involved with. This is after long years of following God that Abraham was able to do this. Long years of following God. And so when it says consciousness is the only reality, it's not talking about, you wake up one day and say that something is certain in your life. No, that's not it. People want magic, something like, you're speaking to a genie and the genie just pops up and gives you 3 wishes. They want that kind of thing. I don't believe in that. I've never believed in that. I don't believe in that. They want magic. They want lottery ticket religion. They want that type of religion. They want lottery ticket wealth. They want that type of wealth. I don't believe in that. I don't believe it's lasting. And so what I'm talking about here is that over the course of time, your faith is built up to the point of conviction. Conviction. You grow in grace. You grow your faith. You start out small if necessary, but you grow in your belief. You strengthen it day by day as you walk and you talk with God. And in doing that, consciousness is the only reality. As I said, that was one of the items that I had preached previously and still believe it is vital. When I look at something like this coronavirus, the truth of the matter is that I initially, before this was declared to be a coronavirus, before it was broadcast, somewhere around 3/11, I think, I had a flu-like situation that lasted for something like 10 to 12 days. And I was sick. I was there would be nights that I would wake up and my T-shirt that I had on would just be wet in my chest area. I was taking medication, over-the-counter medication, and it was just miserable. My wife, Vioka, was taking care of me. She's a nurse, and everything just miserable. Now, what was being broadcast on television hadn't even really started yet in regard to that situation that we have today. And this, as I said, went on something like 10, 15 days. It was an amazing moment. I just woke up and I would be just sweating. Chest would be wet and all of that. And I would just pray. I wasn't feeling well, weak, lost weight, all of those kinds of things in regard to that. But I trusted God. I trusted God. And I kept a vision of being well. I kept a vision. I've done this previously, both in going to the hospital, when doctors, at one point in time, I've had diagnoses where doctors have said to me that I would be someone who was, because of, they are saying that I had diabetes, that I would be sticking a needle in me for a period of time or for the rest of my life, whatever it would be. I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I would pray. They would give me a diet and say that I needed to eat a certain way and that I needed to eat certain things. And initially, I may have looked at that and said, nope, I'm not going to do that. But then I said, I need to eat a certain way and I need to eat certain things. And that's what I did. I did the discipline. And so I was able to stop sticking that needle into my body. For that I am grateful. Same thing when it came to my heart. Had an episode in which a doctor was saying to me while I was in the hospital in a very vulnerable situation that I need to have what was called a stent put in my chest so that my blood would be able to flow freely. And he was like saying, at least what I heard was that I needed to do this before I left the hospital. And if I didn't do it, then I would be in danger of dying. I said, initially, just coming in at that Vaughn moment, saying all of this stuff, 95% of this and 90% of that, and all of that was not favorable toward me. And I initially looked at it and said, yeah, I'll do it. But I prayed, talked to God about it. I said, nope, I'm not doing that. I think that was like 3 years ago. I'm still here. I know individuals that I've prayed for. One man I prayed for, Gene Owens, called him Spider Owens. Gene came 1986. He said, doctor said he had a cancer of the blood. And he asked us to pray because the doctor said he had 6 months to live. That was what the doctor said. And he wanted prayer. We prayed then. What I know for certain is that Gene lived another 30 plus years. I think the last time I saw Gene was like 2018. I've got pictures of that. I believe it's 2018. I called him in 2019. I haven't called him this year, 2020. But 2019. 6 months has turned into decades. This I know. Another person who was my personal barber still is. I don't really see him now because we're in the midst of this situation. Same kind of thing. Stage 4 throat cancer. When we first heard about it, wounded and hurt, but then said we can pray. Why are we praying? Because consciousness, what we hold in our minds, the image we hold in our mind becomes that which we will see. Or it is done unto you according to your faith. Same idea. Same idea. What you see is your faith. In your mind, in your heart, what you believe. And so we decided we'd change on the inside what we saw, what we heard, what we felt, what we talked about, what we heard God say. Oftentimes when God speaks, he speaks using our very own voices. So we begin to do positive affirmations. And so this kind of thing becomes very necessary in this day and time for individuals who are going through this thing, coronavirus or any other sickness. I know a person very dear to me who's in the hospital, just like this young man is in the hospital. We prayed, believe God, you shall live and you shall not die. My barber is still alive to this day. To this day. And this other individual also played the song, said, you shall live and not die. Almost 24/7 while they were in the hospital. You shall live and not die. And my belief is that your immune system can be reprogrammed. I believe even that your DNA can be reprogrammed. You shall live and not die. You shall live and not die. You get something that speaks positively to you in your very spirit. Constantly have Bible texts, affirmations that we have on CDs that are available to you. You shall live and not die. And this is what becomes vital for individuals to understand and to appreciate in this day and time. You might not need it for yourself, but you might need it for somebody else. You shall live and not die. If you can just change the thinking of an individual to get them to the point of, rather than repeating over and over and over in their own mind the thought that this has got me and I'm going to die. I don't care how close they are to death or what they think is death. I don't care what the doctors or nurses or whoever it is that is around them are saying. Let them begin to say, I shall live and not die. And then do all that you can to enforce that idea in your mind and in your heart. Again, the item that was done by the mystic called Neville Goddard says consciousness is the only reality. There's a thing says when it comes to a theory, like you hear of various theories, the theories are theories to people who have not proved them. God is to many people a theory. He's an idea that they haven't proved as of yet. That's why God in one place says, prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts, if I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, there shall not be room enough to receive it. He says, prove me. Put me to the test. Put him to the test. You shall live and not die. I myself have oil that I use and all kinds of things, because sometimes you need something tangible that is a liquid when it comes to oil, so that you can have something that you can just feel in a tangible way, so that you can say to your mind, you can say it to your mind, I shall live and not die. Because in this day and time, over and over and over again, you've got things on television that are telling you how many people are dying from this coronavirus. What you want to know is, can I live? Can I live? Can I keep breathing? Can I keep my chest going? And there will be moments when I was sick at that time, beginning on 3/11, I was sick. And I would wake up and I recognized that I had to fight to breathe because my chest was congested and I had to fight to breathe. Shall live and not die. I believe it's just vital that individuals understand that you have a part to play. You have a part to play for your own life. You have a part to play for the lives of those whom you love. You have a part to play for this entire community that surrounds you, and then for the world itself. You have a part to play. We all have a part to play. You want to do the practices that the scientists, Dr. Fauci and others are saying. The aspect of social distancing and wearing the mask and washing one's hands and all of these kinds of things. You want to do this. And I want to say to people, I could It's not that I don't care about how it may have come about. It's not that I don't care. It's that I don't know how it came about. But it's here. And my life has been impacted by its being here. I'm not saying to you that it's not impacted. It is. I have relatives and friends that it's impacted. I've written about this on my Facebook page and all of this. I am impacted. So I'm not just saying this. I've said already that I myself have been sick. But I'm still here. And I want you to still be here. And I want you to dream a vision, a life beyond what is happening now. A life beyond. Let's play a day of inspiration. Listen to this and meditate on your life beyond. I want to play that once more. I know we only have another minute, but I just want to play that and let it play out for us. Bless you. I'll come back and do more in a few moments, but listen to this again. Just let it lift you. Take care. Blessings.